Okay, here's a message I'm getting right now. Temperature at 107. It was at 115 when I just quit watching my show. And I've got a little fix to get this down. I'll show you now. Okay, took the Roku off the back of the TV. And what I'm going to do first is take the case off. And the case comes off really easy. There's just a little, by the serial number, there's a little pad on the back. You can get a little screwdriver in there and it'll pop right off. I'm doing this with one hand, so I'm going to turn the camera off and pop that off real quick. Okay, once you get that back cover off, it comes off really easy. You can just take the stick and it will come right out. Turn it upside down, fall right out. And this is what you're left with. Okay, there's two sides to it. The side that's all flat on the back, it doesn't cut off by the little numbers here. This is the side that your chip is on that's heating up. So it'll just take a little heat sink. We'll put a little heat sink right on here. And then what I'll do is I'll plug it back in and you can see the difference that the heat sink made with the cover off. So I'm going to shut this off, put a heat sink on, and I'll fire it back up. Okay, what I did is I just put the case right up to it. There's a couple of notches in the case that are really easy guides to cut out. And then I took two little Raspberry Pi heat sinks and put on the back. I'm just going to hook this up the way it is right now, and you can see the temperature difference with just the two heat sinks on there. Okay, two heat sinks are hooked up. It's just sitting on the back now. And you can see we're in the 60s, down from the 100s. So what I'll do now is I'm going to cut a couple of little spots inside that case where the heat sinks will stick through, and we'll put the case back together and I'll stick it back on. Okay, so I got the little hole cut in the top of the Roku, able to save the reset button, the light, all that stuff is still there. The one thing I didn't think through is the heat sink should not go on until after. If both heat sinks are on, it will not fit back in, so I just removed one of the heat sinks, and now I'm just going to gently tuck it right back into the case here. Sorry about this, I'm doing it one-handed. But it will slide right back in, snap in, no problem there. I got the one heat sink. So now I'm going to take the other heat sink and just put it right back on. And there you go. Sorry about that. So I've got the two heat sinks. Got the two heat sinks there that's sticking out the top. Case will be back on. I'm going to clean this up, put it back together, and then I'll show you the finished product. I need two hands to do it. Okay. Alright, I got the case all back together. As you can see, you got the two heat sinks on there. Everything lined up perfectly. So basically that's all it took, was cutting a little hole in the top, a couple of Raspberry Pi heat sinks. I am going to plug it back in now and I will show you the results. Okay, got her fired back up here. I'm going to go into the secret screen, which is the home button 5 times. Right arrow, center arrow, left arrow, center arrow, right arrow. And as you can see, we are clipping along at 61 degrees. We started out in the 100s, 115, 108, right in that range. It was overheating. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to throw a show on. As you can see, it is 12:08 p.m. I'm going to throw a show on. I'm going to let it run for a while, come back in 10-15 minutes, and we'll see how much the temperature has gone up. So as you can see right there, we're at 61. Back in a second. Okay, back with you. It is 12:36, and you can see we're running at 69 degrees. There is another thing that I did also that I got to point out to you. We're gonna look at the back of the TV here. I did contact Roku and let them know that it was overheating by their website, And they sent me out a little extender here that I put the extender on the back of the TV. So that just plugs into the HDMI port. The power comes around, plugs into the USB, and that gets the Roku away from the TV. Sometimes the TVs heat up here, and it adds extra heat onto the Roku itself. And then we're going to look at it from the top. There's my heat sinks hanging out. A little power light on there, and you know, overall it doesn't look bad. It's on the back of the TV. Not many people are going to see it. But that is how I've got this thing hooked up, and it dropped the temperature quite a bit. If I ran it without the case, I'm sure it would do very well, but I don't know how the power in these things work. I don't know if there's spots that you can touch that are gonna you know, can spark or give you a little shock or whatnot. So I'm just more comfortable having the case all put together, and if the temperature is a little hotter because of it, that's fine. I know it's not going to be in the hundreds like it was before. So as you can see, 72 degrees. I imagine, depending on where it's located, if it's inside a case, your TV's inside a case or something, that temperature is going to be, you know, somewhere in the 70s or 80s. But it's still going to be considerably cooler than it was before when it was overheating up in the hundreds. So overall, I think it's a pretty successful deal. Those Raspberry Pi kits, very inexpensive on Amazon. You can just pick up a couple of them, cut a hole in the top, throw those on, and I think that'll take care of the overheating problem. Thanks for watching.